They introduce it each time now as Funny Books with Aaron and Polly and their amazing friends. So I have an amazing friend.
You are an amazing friend.
Yeah, for me, I always have that fear of I don't want to become a podcast whore. I don't want to just agree to everything. So every time I've been asked to be on another show, I always weigh it carefully of, what can I actually bring to this? What do I get out of it? Because what I enjoy the conversations from podcasting.
Yeah.
I enjoy hanging out with people. I enjoy hanging out with people I like. And for me, there was the one thing I wasn't getting from the Fear the Boot podcast was comic books. Being such a huge comic book fan, these guys come to me and say, "Hey, we do a comic book podcast. You want to come on?"
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'll talk about comic books.
You are a huge comic book nerd.
I am.
You have encyclopedic knowledge of comic books, so I think it's a natural fit. But my life is very broken up into, I wouldn't say it's regimented, but there is a certain format to my life. And there's a certain balance that Dawn and I have with Sky of the amount of personal free time we get. There's together time, and then there's free time, and then there's majority of the time you spend working or with your kid. I always say I get 2 days off a week. I get podcasting and I get the game on Sunday. Dawn, being just a great person, allows me to, floaters. It's again nothing so regimented, but I can call her up and say, "Hey, I want to go out with the boys. I want to have a man date." Well, I just did this last week. Dan and I had a man date. We went to Scottish Arms, and I just called her up and I'm like, "Hey, are you doing anything tonight?" She's like, "No." I'm like, "Well, Dan wants to go to Scottish Arms. You mind if I go?" And she's like, "Have fun with your man date." And then she has stuff that she does too. She has like a writing group and she has friends and she likes going to a bookstore and writing and stuff. So I think that if I shoehorned in another activity on top of that, be it going to play miniatures games, doing a weekly regular board game meetup, doing another podcast, it would just really be too much stuff going on in my life to be comfortable for Dawn, to be a good thing for Sky, and even to be something that I was interested in. That might be even a little too much for me to put on my plate.
Yeah, that's one thing is I don't have a kid to think about, but I do work a lot more hours, and it does.
What are you talking about? All your friends are kids. You have a lot of kids to worry about. We're just like 30-year-old man children.
But yeah, it does get to you sometimes having so much going on that, my wife is very understanding of all the things I do offline. I have pretty much the 2 nights to myself, the Tuesday when we record and the Sunday for gaming, same deal. And I've made that very well known for everyone in my life that I don't do things on Sunday. Her family knows that. When they schedule things, they know I won't show up to it on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And
I've had to drill that home with my family too, and my dad is just starting to kind of get it, but and he does, he gets it. So I totally see that too. Although on the other hand, you are a workaholic. You work a lot of hours. You work way more hours than I do, that I'm even willing to. And you're down too. You're out. The amount of hours you work is down.
Yeah, I've cut from the 60 or so, trying to cut at least down. And in my case, I don't feel it's a choice. I feel I have to. So I try to force myself to not, and I get the lectures from my wife about that quite a bit.
You get lectures from your wife, you get lectures from your friends, because we worry about you, we care about you. We want you to have a fun, enjoyable life, just like we do. But whoa!
And that's one of the big reasons I'm enjoying doing podcasts and things like that, is because it's something for me. Yeah. It's not. I have my buckets like you were describing. I have my home life. I have my work life, and I didn't really have something that I do this for me. This isn't about me and my wife. This isn't about me and work. This is about something for me, and that's what gaming fulfilled for me initially. But then from there it grew into, well, now instead of 1 night a week, I've got a couple of nights.
Right.
I have gaming and podcasting, and I have this whole community out there to hang out with and talk to. And when I start playing, video games, I actually have a chance to there's people there waiting online.
Yeah. People want to play with you who have not ever necessarily even met you.
Yeah, and I've missed that.
That's pretty cool.
Because, I mean, I had that before. I had that with my ET clan. When we were doing the FPS and the competitions and all that. I had this whole big group of people, but as that game died out, that and as I started working more and more, that kind of went away. I mean, they're still around. I still talk to a bunch of them, but it's not the same as it used to be.
Right. And I've found that in my life, that kind of stuff is really cool, but it never lasts. The WoW guilds and stuff. I mean, I know that there are people out there who have been part of the same online community for years and years and years, but just in my life, I've been part of a bunch of guilds and a bunch of online communities, and they've all been cool, and they've never lasted forever. Some of them it's been drama and typical internet BS, but others it's just been they just peter out. So Wayne, do we have enough time for me to ask you, why do you podcast?
I think we do. Well, like I said, I have the creative urges just like everyone else. Mine basically goes more towards writing, but I've always wanted to entertain, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to write. That's why I have that creative urge to write, is because I don't want to just write. I want to write stuff that people read. I want to entertain people, and I'm not exactly a stand-up comic, and I certainly can't sing, so...
I think you're a funny guy.
So it's like, what can I do to entertain people? And I never imagined being on a podcast.
Yeah.
When I listened at first to this one, I never even once considered the idea of it at first. And it was just such an honor to even be brought on as a guest at first.
It was such a relief to find someone who was willing and lived in the area.